Alright. Welcome to the Flicks Picks in the Nitpicks. Let's get it. Alright, I'll be your host, Nove718, and let's get into it. This is the first show. So this is your show. So eventually I'm gonna have an email listing and things of that nature where you guys can chime on in. I want you guys to help me sculpt and navigate this show, and hopefully we can propel ourselves forward so we can acclimate ourselves properly within the cinema, film, and screen junkie fiend and all the rest of it community. Basically, in a nutshell, man, I want to keep it sweaty. I want like to dedicate this in honor of a lot of people that's out there that's been grinding, that just have aspirations for a lot more. You know what I mean? This is our first show, and hopefully this will be a growing experience, so we could get better as artists. Hopefully, I'll get more people on here as well. Hopefully, as we expand into other things, we can actually have some fun. I want to actually promote first and foremost a positive environment. Also, I mean, we're here for the bullshit as well, but we want to actually be honest and respectable to each other because we all film junkies. We all love the movies, especially the comic book movies, and us that are into the sweaty and the nerdy aspects of this culture. We should be at least respectable because I mean, at least sometime before nerdy went basically mainstream via the movies and things of that nature, um, we were looked at as the underdogs. So why should we actually promote that kind of atmosphere and shit on people, etc., etc., etc.? All right. So I just want to keep the energy positive. But we're gonna start off today real light, real light. All right. So Captain Marvel has come out this week, and so far I don't have the numbers yet because we'll do another show tomorrow where we get into the specifics. But what I really wanted us to discuss today is that Captain Marvel has split reviews, okay? In the beginning, I mean, first we gotta walk it back and understand that the environment in which Captain Marvel actually comes out. Unfortunately, or fortunately enough, it comes out amidst the PC culture. Whereas you have to watch what you have to say, be careful with your wording because people can get offense, people personal spaces, and yada yada yada. You don't want to pop people personal bubbles. Then in the Me Too movement now, we're opening up old wounds, discussing the dichotomy and the differences between the sexes, be it political, biological, etc., etc., etc. I'm trying to keep it real light because I mean this is a movie show, so let's focus on the movies. But we have to deal with the environment in which this comes up in because we have to deal with the climate first before we actually get into the specifics. And this is the climate and the nature in which this movie is coming out to be pushed as and touted as a cultural hallmark, the likes of which could be placed in the same spacing as Black Panther. Now, if you ask me, I think there's no way you could compare it for a lot of other reasonings, but I get the marketing value in trying to push it towards that, especially with regards to the PC culture at large. Hopefully this all now makes proper context and makes sense. So it might be a good idea. I don't think Kevin Feige really wanted to push it that hard, but that was going to be the subtext, the undertone, etc., etc. Now, unfortunately, this movie comes on the heels of what Wonder Woman has already have done, and it's nothing like a Wonder Woman title. Wonder Woman is a legacy character. It has several different years of strong references towards femininity. So there's no way Captain Marvel can ever equate to even that if you look at her checkered past in terms of going from Mrs. Marvel to Captain Marvel, etc., etc., etc. So once we understand that, we look at this character and we put it into a movie, which is gonna be well produced, well written, of course, because I mean we have over 10 years of experience dealing with the MCU and this cinematic universe. So we're gonna expect a certain level of seriousness taken towards the actual production of the film. So you should expect nothing but excellence put into the film. They're not gonna half-ass it, basically speaking, which comes to the film. Now, I haven't gotten a chance to see it, but I will drop my review. I can only go off the trailers, and I'm not gonna do too much personal assertion past prefacing. I've only seen the trailers. Now, first and foremost, I enjoyed the trailers. I'm not gonna lie, I did enjoy the trailer, but I will not lie, it wasn't wowing me. It didn't look like the story was that interesting. So it almost makes you wonder which came first, the idea of having a female character first, or the character itself comes first. Because a lot of people argue Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow should have had a film already. I don't believe she should have, but if there was ever a character anywhere near interesting in which to pick from, it would be her. She would be the pristine, and you could do something very different with her, and I would go hard R. Why not? Why not with her? Because it's going to be a low budget anyway. You're going to get the money back. Scarlett Johansson will get the guys into the seats. The guys will come. Not even just for the looks. To be quite honest, just the character in and of itself. A lot of guys tend to like badass characters, badass action flicks, and especially if it's a female, attractive one at that, that could only be pluses all the way around, and she's already known as and touted as one of the best. That said, now we go into Captain Marvel. Now, the film right now is getting a lot of different type of reviews, a lot of issues with Rotten Tomatoes. You guys must already know. I'll try to drop links to a lot of great YouTubers that have done excellent coverage of this, and I will start to actually do my own personal coverage moving forward now, because it's an interesting thing how they're trying to get in front of the loopholes in which people can get around voting, upvoting, and downvoting films, because now it's become the new civil rights thing. My film over anybody else's, etc., etc. So now, with that being said, now we're going into a film that it's getting hard to critique it, because you do not want to offend any arrogant of people, but at the same time you want to be honest and sincere to what the film actually got out of you via the experience. Basically, in a nutshell, did you like it or not? Whether it's whack or not, whether it's dope or not, no matter which way you're on the pendulum of the conversation in the larger atmosphere, the larger paradigm. When it comes to this film, where do you land? And it's starting to get harder and harder to actually critique these films. And you're starting to notice a lot of your YouTubers, they're starting to fall prey to the same thing, because they're going to look at their algorithm and push the type of rhetoric that gives them the most views. Because that's how we all get fed, and then you're going to be just as corporate as anyone else. Will you be sincere to your core beliefs? And the core beliefs here at the Flicks, Picks, and the Nitpicks will and always be substance over everything. I really want us to really focus on the film and of itself. We'll deal with the larger atmosphere, but we really want to be sincere to the actual film. That being said, now it's getting mixed reviews. You have people that love it, and now it's starting to look like when you read more into the actual comments, it's like, how are you certifying it fresh when it almost sounds like you don't really like it as much? Not enough to quantify it as a fresh when you read what they said. So now it starts to get into very varying discrepancies. Right now, it seems like the audience reviews are way in contrast, deep contrast to the critical reviews, which opens up a larger conversation. So leave it in the comments. What did you like about the film? Did you enjoy the film? Do you feel like politics has ruined the film? That's the real question. That's a larger conversation that needs to be had. If you ask me, is politics ruining the film? And most importantly, above all anything, we gotta ask ourselves, was the film actually good at all? Moving right along, we want to get into the next topic. Brie Larson. Is she the actual problem? Now, we understand, again, the atmosphere, the politics. We put in a figure that coins herself as a political advocate, an activist, and she wears it on her sleeves. And she puts it at the forefront of her activism, quote unquote, the film. Is that a bad thing or a good thing? I'm not here to judge. But the question is she the reason why the film is starting to have such an interesting backlash? You know, no one's really talking about the cast. They say the cast is okay. It's pretty good, actually, with what they're going with. From what I'm understanding, it seems to be the story is pretty typical. I'm going to surf the top and say it's not as much undertones, the political undertones of girl power as people assumed it would be. But at the same time, a lot of people are noticing it. The question is, will the general audience know it? Will it scream out just enough that it will leave a bad taste in their mouth? So now we have to ask ourselves, is it Brie Larson? Was it wise? Should Marvel have made it a point to not select such an outspoken actor because it may cloud the point of the film, the subtleties of the film, if that's what you wanted to push it as a more subtle approach? Because you have to start paying attention nowadays in the social media climate and the social justice warrior era, if you will. These things will factor itself into the success or the failure of your film. So I ask you guys, could they have went with a better person? We're going to dig deeper in the next episode. I really just wanted our first episode to really just surf the waves, just kind of get our feet wet a little bit. I do want to dive deeper into this conversation on Brie Larson, because I think it opens up a wider conversation as it pertains to the movies, because on this channel it's movies over everything. Fuck politics. Yeah. So now, the next question we go into, are YouTubers to blame? And I really do believe YouTubers are to blame. And I'll say we, even though I actually dropped a video or so based on Man of Steel late last year, and I will be dropping pilot episodes. That means things I've recorded before that should have come out, but I was always waiting for a well-produced show that I could bring to you and I could submit. That's neither here nor there. This being the first show, I do want to add myself into the mix because now I am stepping into the realm of a YouTuber. I really cannot own up too much to the past doings that kind of push this wave that I'm presenting to you as an argument. But needless to say, I will say we, because we means just arrogant. And we are partially to blame because we are pushing our own agendas. We do not, as an arrogant, there's some that wants to push the film forward because, let's be honest, some people kind of want to get pussy points to seem like I'm over championing for the ladies because they want to look like this white knight caping. Some just don't want to come off like pricks, so they just want to be uber extra with it, and they really tiptoe around it. Some sincerely really want to champion it because they're focusing on what I would submit is a large minority, but it might be a little bit larger than I might have thought. Just a tad larger than I thought. Reason being is because as I listen to the undertones of a lot of good YouTubers, good ones, they come into it with a preset attitude because they already have the issue with the larger conversation. So they may not be judging Brie Larson quite fairly enough, though I think she has a little bit to carry in and of herself as well, because she needs to be groomed to how to speak to people in the in a public atmosphere and really need to dial back the politics. Or if you're going to do that, you're going to have to expect everything that comes with it. And I don't want her to share space with the likes of Muhammad Ali and those of that nature. But just to illustrate a larger idea, you will have to deal with a lot of other stuff if you take a real big political standpoint on something significant to you. The only difference is this is Brie Larson. It comes with a lot of arguments in and of itself. It could get real conflated the deeper you cut into it, and we'll do that on another episode. We'll cut into it and do a nice little special directly towards that, because I think it's an interesting conversation that needs to be had. But YouTubers do own responsibility to how they report the news as well. Yes, we all have our personal point of view, but we also kind of push the narrative as well. We kind of do. So I err on the side of being consistent, because I've seen guys say one thing here, but then they'll switch it up over here as well. You know, I've heard guys use the same arguments to torpedo this film, but they'll kind of use that to kind of flex the same way for other films. And what they would do here for other films that I hear you kind of let go a little bit, you won't allow over here for other films. So where's your consistency? Because I'm more trying to judge it against you instead of judging it against what I think it should be. I'd rather know that you are consistent, because we're buying into you as a YouTuber. So don't be the guy that says, hey, I judge films this way, and then the next thing you know, when we come back into another conversation, it switches up so easily, only when you seem to have to like it or like that film in and of itself, because just of you. You have to be direct and down the middle. Like John Campia says, all films are subjective. You know? All films are subjective. But let's have fun and let's argue a little bit too. Respectively, of course. You know? So I really will probably put this into tomorrow's show, because I will try to do a daily show. We'll see how this goes, but I wanted to do this one very light, just so we could cut it up, we could break it down, and start the process of getting a rhythm. So this is the first show, so bear with me. All right, next up is Ghostbusters. Now we have the new Ghostbusters 3 is coming in, and it's not going to be a continuation of, was it 2016's, unfortunately I have to label it, the quote-unquote female Ghostbusters. And if you ask me, I'm excited. I'm so excited, because I did not too care for the 2016 version, but I'm not gonna lie, I do need to sit down and give it a more focus, because I was watching it with my niece, with my bro, like we were just kicking it, like wasn't really paying attention, you know what I'm saying? Like, everybody was hanging out, my niece was there watching, and we was trying to watch and talk about the movie, because me and my bro, we have these conversations in our living rooms over the phones. We discussed this as well. So he liked it. I was entertained. I didn't hate it as much as everyone else, but this was a poor excuse of a reboot, if you ask me. It was just, we could have called it something else. This was not what we were anticipating all these years for. At least not a guy like me. And the marketing was not the best. And I do understand the pressures of the artists and the producers and the people involved, but you have to hold steadfast. You have to be well trained for public consumption, well trained to submit your artistry, even in the midst of a political atmosphere that may have a knee-jerk reaction to you either way, So I do think that we need to be more responsible with how we sell our film in the open market, And with the part 3 though, I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it. They got the son of the director. I forget his name, but he's going to be part of it. Reitman, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. He's going to be directing it. And the greatest thing about that is he's an actual fan. He grew up on the set of the film, which makes it even better. So I know it's going to be a love letter to his dad, rest his soul. And I know that he's going to put a lot more love and care into the film and also kind of push it towards a new direction. Now, I'm not familiar with his films, but I'm going to get a little bit more involved. But I do look forward to see what he has on the cusp. We'll discuss this in the future weeks following up on this film, because this is something I'm actually looking forward to, and I'm actually excited about. And the conversation around it is just as interesting, but I do want to focus on the film in and of itself, because the film in and of itself, I do believe, will be a good film, a great film. Oh, you know what? Let me pull back. I don't want to be over assuming. I do feel like it's in a pristine position to do better, because we know what does not work, and we know what the fans are looking for. And I'm not a fan of having to make films tailored towards what fans' expectations are. No, but I do believe in fan recognition, because you don't do a complete 360 to what was working with the film and what the fans loved. I mean, even if you look at, and I loved Ghostbusters 2, but a lot of people don't, or not as much. And of course, it's not as good as part 1. And part 2 was more on the cartoony side. So why would you ratchet it up with an even more cartoonier film that was wrapped in so much political nonsense that it was only you set them up to fail in and of itself. It was set up to fail, and how they marketed it put it right over the edge. So with that being said, now that we know that doesn't work, maybe they'll go more towards the vein, but also listen to what the fans were also saying. They weren't against women. If you really listen to it, they just wanted that to be attached to this one, to the original one, if you want to argue that. But I'm kind of glad they didn't, because you would have to omit that anyway. It doesn't even feel like you was in New York. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I do look forward towards this film. I feel like they have enough of an idea of where to start from. I think it being the director of the original, the son, he will push it towards more the vein of what his father wanted, and him being younger, he'll add a fresher take to it. That's the equation that I'm coming up with it, because I'm looking forward towards an excellent Ghostbusters 3. You know what I mean? Next up is Zack Snyder. Yay, my guy. He actually has I gotta find out if it was actually this weekend or the weekend to come. I'll correct it. But he's going to have a director's cut review of BVS and The Watchmen. 2 movies I absolutely love. Watchmen more than the latter, but BVS, I actually really love BVS, especially the more that I watch it, and it's the extended cut. But if you were asking me, it's like I can't even remember the difference, to be quite honest. So it is what it is. But the question everyone's asking is, will they bring up the release of Snyder Cut questions? I'm positive it's going to come up several different times. The question is how he will answer it. Will he be direct, or will he be very ominous about it? And that's the real question. I'm a fan of the Snyder Cut. I find it very, very unfortunate that the more prominent tube channels try to sidestep in and step over the idea of the Snyder Cut existing. Even some of the YouTubers that I totally look up to, and when it comes to doing movie punditry, and I actually explicitly enjoy their perspectives and their point of views on the politics even surrounding the films, including the films in and of itself. And even though we don't always agree, I love the fact that they absolutely know how to express and explain why they love the film. And I love it when people know exactly how to explain their position, because it could be very hard to do that, especially in this atmosphere where you can't even be just shoot from the hip and expect people to give you a wide enough berth with it. They're just going to really try and distort your words. So I do respect those pundits that are very careful with what they say, that they give very little wiggle room to twist their words into something that never was and never was meant to be. But unfortunately, even those guys, they're not talking about the possibility, the legitimate possibilities and clues that have come up about the Snyder Cut. They only refer to even Zack Snyder when he plays with it as something of a nuisance, and they either very seldom, if not totally, disregard anybody from Jason Momoa to other Jay Oliver. Hill's name will come up to lay weight to an argument in another conversation, but never lay weight to what he said about working with Zack Snyder, and he shoots exactly what is storyboarded. So the shots are there. So he says, and that's people on the inside. So with that being said, I look forward to all the information that comes up out of this. As always, no, this is my perspective. I support the Snyder Cut, and I'm pushing that all day long. You already know. And last but certainly not least in the headlines, X-Men. All right, excuse me, my bad. X-Men Dark Phoenix trailer. The last trailer, I think we're on trailer 3. Technically speaking, the first original one might have been more of a teaser, but neither here nor there. The third one is out there. It has a little bit more footage, cut a little bit differently, but if you ask me, I think it looks very good. Jennifer Lawrence, her blue color keeps changing, and it annoys me a little bit. Please stay in blue, but that's neither here nor there. People are asking the question, did they spoil the film by letting it be known in the trailer that Mystique dies? And the question is, are they really saying it? Now, they're saying that Steinberg has actually said that as verified that in an interview someplace else, which I should have verified, but we're just talking right now, and it's saying, and it's out there saying that this is it. She does die. Now the question is that a spoiler? I don't know necessarily that it might be. This might happen in the opening 15 minutes of the film. We really do not know. We don't know how this movie is going to be organized. Maybe portions of it will be a lot of flashbacks. We do not know. Maybe it already happened going into the film, and we're going back, and we're starting already into the Dark Phoenix saga. You know, I always hate the fact that we don't even deal with the Phoenix first. We just go into the Dark Phoenix, but that's neither here nor there. If you ask me, I'm still optimistic because I like to think in the era post the BVS infamous trailer of showing Doomsday in the beat by beat, where people are now starting to really focus on trailers showing the beats of the film and showing too much in the film. Post that era, now people are really going through it with a fine-tooth comb, so I can see how this could be a hindrance towards it. But I don't believe that that's what they're showing right now. I think that they're actually showing something that happens early in the film that's just going to be the linchpin of the film, not necessarily we just showed you a spoiler. That's probably going to happen early in the film, in the first act. All right. So, we will do more deep dives into X-Men Dark Phoenix. I love the franchise. We'll get into it. All right. So, and that's it for the Flicks Picks and the Nitpicks. All right. I'm your host, s01ep01. I had a great time with you guys. Man, and like I said, leave it in the comments below. I'm going to be working more on production, trying to come up with a time schedule. So bear with me for the first month, because I'm going to try and come up with a schedule we could get more consistent. I want you guys to also just chime in, let me know what you guys think. Watch the channel develop and grow, and just look out for us, man. And we'll be back again. This was recorded Sunday, but this is gonna supposed to come out Monday, but we'll be back on our. We'll get a good schedule going. Just keep following us in the weeks ahead, and just keep looking out for us, man. And just drop it in the comment section. Let me know what you think about the show. Let me know any ideas that you may have, because I want this to be not just the show. The show, I don't want it to be like my show or anybody that may come in down the line to help co-host. I want it to be our show. I want to create a great community to add to the community at large out there right now that's not into not aware of the culture, or that's aware of the culture and just keep mining for more and more and more diverse thoughts. And this is the place for diverse thoughts, where there's sincere film, screen, movie, TV show junkies. We just like great, well written shows. We love spectacle films, especially the comic book films, but most importantly, we love this good motion art. So take care. Hopefully next time I have a better outro, but this is episode 1. Till next time. Bye.